Hello, dear friends. Today we will continue the theme of Hell and Paradise, the third part of this topic. In order to better understand this issue, first of all, I will remind you that the human personality consists of several bodies: physical, etheric, astral, emotional, sensual, and concrete mental body. And let's pay attention to the fact that each of these bodies gradually develops, builds up certain layers in these bodies, and each new layer creates new possibilities for him, which he has the right to use. The physical body builds up its possibilities. The etheric body builds up its possibilities. An emotional sensual body builds up its possibilities, and the concrete mental body builds up its possibilities. And as they are formed, a person tries to use each of these bodies separately from other bodies. That means such bodies become carriers of consciousness on their own plane. Let's pay attention to the body of the concrete mental. It is the body that can be connected with this concept of hell to a greater extent. When a person develops and develops well, develops good qualities, then he gets to the perfect worlds. And there he enjoys his level of development. Conditionally, of course, he enjoys it, because one is not allowed to be lazy anywhere, everywhere in any world. A man has to work, he has to perform certain functions, he has to learn, he has to master new experience for himself. In any case, his consciousness continues to evolve. And when the body of the concrete mental matures, it is a special case for a human being, when a new stage comes for him. His consciousness should pass from the personality to the causal body. But before passing to the abstract mental, where this causal body is located, a human being should make a complete revision inside himself, inside his consciousness. When a person completes the construction of the body of the concrete mental in his personality, he completes the whole development in his personality. That is why this revision is necessary to determine whether the work is completely finished or some other nuances need to be finalized. Then a special state is experienced, an inner mystery, when a person has to go down to the very bottom of his consciousness and there revise whether there are still some fireflies that can be taken out of there and blown into a flame. And then the work will be actually completely fulfilled. Irrespective of nationality, irrespective of religion, irrespective of anything, each person having reached a strictly defined step, and all go on the same ladder of development for people. Then, having reached some step, all those who reach this step experience approximately the same states. Approximately the same images are present, the inner mysteries. The difference can be only in what traditions, religious or national, people have formed. And therefore, the images can differ to a certain extent, but these images still symbolize the same thing. Therefore, knowing these moments, knowing these images, knowing what the inner mysteries are, one can determine by these states what stage of development the consciousness is at. And when development of the body of the concrete mental is completed, then there is a lowering to the bottom of one's consciousness. And a person as a representative of the law, his consciousness as a representative of the law, puts on an expensive robe, and depending on the lining on this robe, what color it is, and small other nuances, one can also speak about the level of development of consciousness. Consciousness descends down there as a representative of the law in order to make a complete revision. When this inner mystery takes place, of course it is a very unforgettable state, an experience. Let me remind you of the movie. Many of you have watched it. What Dreams May Come. It is shown that the hero of this movie has a wife who died. And he knows that she has fallen into the lower worlds, and he decided to bring her back from there. He got a guide on this world. When the guide took him to the bottom of the worlds, it was a nightmarish sight. When they were working on human bodies, and these bodies were like a dark mass of unpleasantness. Out of that mass are arms that cling to their legs. Creepy. It is immediately obvious that the author, who came up with this story, most likely such a state himself experienced. Because it is almost impossible to make it up. In reality, it is like this. I myself went through this inner mystery, through this stage of development, so I pay attention to this movie because it is a very good example. And the author could not just make it up. That is the way it goes. The only difference is the major body of the concrete mental. It is also called the body of the law. Because everything, the task of the development of the plans of the personality is completed. It already represents the law for the personality. That is why the mystery consists in putting on a certain robe and giving a certain symbolism in his hand. As a representative of the law, he descends to the very bottom and revises. When some light particles of consciousness are found, they rise to the top and the person spends some time to finalize some small nuances in his consciousness. For some, there are certain differences. I'm also very familiar with it, because some of our students have also gone through this stage, when they had to revise their consciousness in a similar way. For me, it was a bit more complicated, in the sense that I was given certain symbols as a symbol of power in my hands, a corresponding robe. And when I went down to the very bottom there, the servants of this world brought different bodies to me, and I had to make this evaluation, that here in this particular case something can be pulled out or cannot be pulled out. It takes some time, but such revision is carried out at such moments, when the next stage is the transition to the level of the abstract mental. It happens both for an individual person, when such revision is carried out for him, and it can also be carried out for some groups of people, when he is already responsible for it. He is already a representative of the law in order to bring such a certain revision. It is real nightmarish, monstrous sight. This swarming mass of grey-brown, dirty and utterly senseless, movements grasping, clinging. It's horrible, it's hard to see it all. But what can you do? Because the most important task of a human being is to develop self-awareness. And if some substance or matter in his composition has not yet acquired this quality of self-consciousness, it is such a formless, senselessly swarming mass, where there is no glimmer of consciousness yet. Such a mass, such matter, is left when moving to a higher level. It will serve for other purposes. This is a completely different conversation. The point is that the very bottom, this is the real hell. This is the real, total unconsciousness. Further, when a person advances, there are already the most beautiful worlds, into which he gets. It is really already paradise. Especially if we pay attention to what yogis strive for, what they strive to achieve, to dissolve in the light of Nirvana. This is such a splendor that the consciousness encounters when it gets there, to the level that it is simply impossible to describe in human language. That is where there is really for man that can be called paradise. But nowhere is bliss and idleness. There is such a high level of development of creativity there, that this creativity itself is a pleasure for a human being. It is pleasing for him to create and create more and more. But the worlds there are so beautiful, so perfect, that a human being cannot imagine it. Therefore, ending today's conversation, I wish that all people who aspire in their development, at some point they will be able to reach such a very and very exalted state. In today's conversation, I have already paid attention to the fact that the matter that is at this very bottom, and that doesn't possess yet the level of self-consciousness, that means it is almost completely unconscious, then something with this matter happens further. And this is what happens further with this matter. We will understand with you at our next meeting. So today we say goodbye to you and see you again.